It's the GAA Social on BBC Sounds. We were at the Munster football final. We thought we would saturate ourselves in Kerry, and we are in, well, we're in a lovely place actually. This place is lovely, and it's an establishment in Killarney. And Oisín's just back from the toilet. And who did you see in the toilet?
I've seen a picture of...
Just to be clear, it was a picture, not a person.
There's a lot of Kerry history in that toilet.
And Oisín comes out of the toilet and goes, I was just seen Mikey Sheehy there. At which point, is he arrived yet? No, there's a picture of him in the toilet. So there you go, Mikey. You know you've done grand things in life when you're pictures of you in the loo.
Oh, gee, I don't know about that. But, that's the first time I've heard of my picture being inside in the loo.
You'll have to go for a look now before you leave.
Yeah, we'll go get a photograph of it. Mikey, it is great to see you. Yeah. Kerry legend, clearly. And I know it's an embarrassing word when it's thrown about. But you've scored more goals for Kerry than any other player ever.
Yeah, just at the moment.
Well, there is this boy from Fossa seems to be tickling along. Yes, but you've 51 goals and 123 appearances. And we don't normally do this in the podcast, but it's... When you think of that Kerry team and the success that it had and all the amazing forwards and the amazing forwards that have gone since, like even the Colin Cooper, you think of many times he scored goals. You've scored more goals than anybody else. it's a lovely thing.
It is, and it was only a few years ago that somebody actually said it to me, but it's something that when you're playing, I'm sure Oisín will agree with this, is that you don't even think about records or what you do. You're just part of a team and you're doing your job. Yeah. And I think I was extremely lucky to play with an outstanding team, an outstanding squad of players, and to be lucky enough to be in the right place at the right time. Now, I would actually say that, I did get a lot of goals, but a lot of them goals were easy goals in relation to that you could hand pass the ball into the net in those days. Yeah. And I do think that I had an advantage in that. Okay. Now, it was a rule that I always was hoping wouldn't be there, would you believe it? Because I would actually get more satisfaction out of bellowing the net, picking the side and nailing it, But in those days we could hand pass the ball into the net. They got rid of it, I can't remember what year. But it was what it was, because it was a funny after the 1980 All-Ireland final. I got a goal maybe about 10 minutes before half time, and we were struggling the same day. And it was a physical battle against Roscommon, and Pat Spillane passed it to me, one of the few passes that he'd give you. No, in fairness to him, he would, but
he must have been in trouble if he
he was in trouble. Yeah, he exhausted all options and he gave it to me. So I flicked it over Gaelic. And I remember in Tralee on the Wednesday or Thursday we were inside some bar and some fella said to me, two guys, and then another fella backed him up and he said, my God, it was a great move. He said, why didn't you kick it in? Yeah. And I could understand where he was coming from, but if I went to kick it in, it was blocked, then you'd always take the easy option, Oisín, sure as you'd
So we'll have to change the records that no hand goals allowed, so that will bring you down.
It will bring us down a good bit, let me tell you.
Owen Liston will be above you then, the great John Egan will be above you, Colin Cooper, Clifford he's gone.
Owen Liston definitely flicked in a few.
Yeah. Well, see, Oisín now, in fairness, he wants the whole records redone again since the 2-pointers.
Oh, the 2-point, I agree, yeah.
Because he feels he's going to be eclipsed, you see, Mikey.
Records mean nothing anymore. I'm concerned.
No.
But you're here with your granddaughter, Cara, who is overseeing Tristan and making sure that he does it correctly. So it's great to have an extra pair of hands.
She's a work cut out.
Yeah. But she would keep you busy too, I'd imagine. Life. Give me a sense, family, kids, grandchildren, Mikey, where we at?
I suppose, I was lucky enough that I was born in a council estate in Tralee, 19 St. Brendan's Park. Lovely spot, and we had a great upbringing. My parents were two great people. My father, he never played football at a high level, was from just outside Killorglin. Would have played maybe with Lone Rangers years ago, but was an absolute fanatic on the GAA, on Gaelic football number one and hurling number two. But he would have brought me to matches since I was knee high. I had there was 7 of us in the family, 6 girls and myself. I was an only boy, right. So I taught a few of them how to play a bit of football. There was 2 or 3 of them that could play some bit, because you'd have nobody when you're young. You'd have no one to play with. But really, really enjoyed it. So I've two sons. Then got married in 1980. Two boys, Mike and Dave, and 4 grandkids. Mike has 3, the 3 girls, and David has Paddy, the smaller fella. He's about 5.5, going on 25.5.
It seems everybody in Kerry is 5, but going on 25.5. It feels there's just a way that there's just I don't know what is maturity the right word, but just the kids seem to be just a bit more aware.
Yeah,
This part of the world.
maybe. Well, they always say about Kerry cuteness. I don't know. I don't know how you define that cuteness. You could do it in a good way or in a bad way. But I even see the 3 girls. No, they're fanatics on football, and they're the way they'll converse with you, and tis great for them, like.
Have they any idea of the status you have in the game? Or do they care?
No, but geez, Mac, they wouldn't really, They wouldn't. The older girl now, Roisin, who's 15, she's doing her junior cert year. She'd be smart enough, okay, she'd know, but she wouldn't tell you, like. She wouldn't be.
She's not going to make you big-headed.
No, she'd keep you fairly grounded, And then, I'm sure I wouldn't even discuss it with them, because all they're interested now is the present day lads and obviously the big players, number one,
And the present day lads picked up the Paddy O'Shea Cup over the weekend.
Yeah.
So the first time it's named after Paddy, which is a lovely compliment. Always, there's probably a wee bit maybe within the family too, but there's a decision to make there. Is it a bit strange? But no, actually, you know what? Let's take it the way in which it's intended. It's a lovely compliment, and it's going to be there for.
Yeah, I think it was a fantastic tribute, not alone to Paddy, but to the O'Shea family.
Yeah.
Like, when you think of what came out of Ardevore, as they call it, just a crossroads, you had Paddy, then you had the 4 boys, Fergal, who's the older lad, who was quite a good footballer, played underage with Kerry as well, but did his knee, and then you had Dara, Tomas, Mark, like, incredible family, like. And when you think of Tomas as managing the Kerry under-20s, Mark is managing the Kerry under-17s, who are playing Clare tonight, and Dara's involved in the background with Tomas. They're just fanatical, like. There's nothing else, only football.
Yeah. What did you think of the Munster final?
I thought it was an entertaining game. I thought what I loved about it, I said to Oisín before we started, I was amazed at the crowd. I thought because of this famous draw that was made last Monday, that would have had an impact on the crowd. I was expecting maybe 20,000. It was like the olden days, because there was such a buzz around before the game. The day was nice, great atmosphere. Cork, in fairness to them, they came down in their numbers because they love coming to Killarney. But I was kind of worried, because of the economic situation in the world, I suppose. Cork are flying in the hurling, and there'll be probably a lot of games to go, and it's expensive now coming to games. But they did come down, and I think they were expecting big things from that team, and they did for 35 minutes maybe. But in the second half, I thought our fellas were different level, in fairness to them.
Yeah. Were you disappointed a bit with Cork? And as much as you can be when you're supporting the team against them, because it kind of looked like from the outside looking in that they had a real chance. Kerry had down a lot of bodies, and a wee bit of uncertainty to an extent, but Cork just didn't look threatening.
No, but you know what? I thought in the second half, in particular, the one thing that impressed me about our fellas was their defensive structure.
Yeah.
The Cork now, I know that they tried a few times. They found it very hard to pick holes. Now Brian O'Dwyer got an outrageous goal, okay? But really, outside of that, they didn't really create any major one-on-ones. Whereas I thought our defence, when they turned them over, which is a Kerry thing anyway, in relation to they moved the ball very quickly.
Yeah.
And the amount of space, the one-on-ones that we had, I never remember Cork guys having that, even in the first half. But I thought, particularly in the second half, that our lads got their structure was very, very good defensively, I thought.
Yeah. You mentioned that actually after the game. It's not something people generally, because of the talent that's at the top end of the pitch, it's not something that really gets. Yeah. But like, you don't win in All Ireland unless you're decent defensively, and they definitely looked.
Yeah, do you know
looked at it yesterday.
Who's really, I think, in the last few years has matured to a serious player is Jason Foley.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I thought he was immense again yesterday, and he's comfortable now when he goes out the field, even though he spends more time with the new rules defending, obviously. But he's I was involved with Eamon Fitzmaurice a few years ago, just watching these guys training. Like, he's a sprinter. You do not believe the pace that young lad has. And he's using it now, and his footballing has improved no ends in the last few years.
Yeah. He was always the athlete, wasn't he?
He was an athlete. Sure, he was actually, I think when he was 16, he was offered a scholarship to
on athletics. Yeah. He was
oh, he was an athlete, but brilliant footballer now as well. Like.
Okay. What was this guy like, Oisín? I mean, growing up, like, you would have been sort of touched on stories like this.
Yeah, but I don't know if you ever remember, we were at an All-Ireland weekend. I think we had played in the Kilmacud Sevens, and we went into a bar in Dublin, and yourself and Ger Power were there. Would that be possible?
It could be.
And my brother Jim.
Oh, Jim, yeah, great corner forward, yeah.
So he, not to this day, like, it's Mikey Sheehy, and that was it. Like, there's nobody like Mikey Sheehy, but he seen you that day, and I thought, oh no, Mikey's gonna get his ear bent now for the next couple of hours. But sure enough, I think maybe 2 hours later we were leaving, and the boys were saying, "Where's Jim?" And I said, "Well, he's definitely still over bending Mikey Sheehy's ear." And sure enough, he was there with yourself and Ger Power. I think you were looking for an excuse to get out at that stage. But yeah, so like, I would have. Jim put Mikey on the radar for me, just about watching him and everything that he'd done, his quickness of thought, and I know he's a lot of it he's remembered for chipping Paddy Cullen and the thing, but just the quickness and the sharpness of the thought and his movement and just everything about him. Just so, yeah, he would have been singled out in our house for a long time, and the name is just, the name speaks for itself.
Yeah,
you don't have to explain. Do you know what I mean?
Do you feel weird hearing compliments like that, Mike?
I do, absolutely. I get embarrassed.
Yeah.
Because if I'm inside somewhere, not as much nowadays, because you wouldn't meet, a lot of people wouldn't recognise you, because you're of a different generation. But if I'm inside somewhere and somebody starts saying something, I kind of
uneasy.
I just I did get uneasy, but I changed the subject straight away to something. I'm happier then. I'll talk away to people. No bother. But look, when you going back asking about my growing up, when I got on the Kerry, well, say the Stacks team first at underage level, and then you're kind of, I'm sure you'd be the same. You're kind of wondering. There's something always in the back of your head. Are you going to be good enough? You would have ambitions to play, But I eventually got on the squad. We'll say the Kerry senior squad when I was 19, I'd say. But like, only for Mick O'Dwyer, I wouldn't have had the career that I had, because I needed to be driven. You know that? You can have plenty of ability, but I was lazy. Like, I would put that word out there. I was lazy. I wouldn't have done the hard graft when I was younger, 16, 17, 18. I'd start putting on a bit of weight. And furthermore, to be a part then of a brilliant squad of players, but with Mikko in charge, and he was the man, like,
Really?
In my eyes anyway. I know I got massive encouragement from my parents, my father, as I said in particular, but he drove me, and there were times, because I used to play a bit of soccer when I was about 17, 18 with the Park. And they're still very, very strong club in Kerry at the moment. And I remember one day, like, I was just coming on the Kerry squad, and I had played, I think we played, who did we play in the league game? And in those days, like, obviously there was no mobile phones, there was hardly landlines, right? So you got a circular on the Thursday before the game to say that you were picked, selected or whatever for the squad to travel. A circular. That was a little white circular used to come in the door, right, with a stamp in it. And it never came to me on the Thursday. And Kerry were playing Longford, I remember, above in the National League game. Oh, this would have been around 73 or 74 possibly, right? And nothing came, and so nobody contacted me that I was being collected. I was down having a few kicks with a few of the boys in the park soccer field on the Saturday morning. Next thing, my poor mother, God rest her, came down, and she says to me, Dan Ryan, he was the driver at the time, Dan Ryan is above outside the door, you're supposed to be going to Longford. I said, no, but he told me I didn't actually want to go, but I did, I went, yeah. So that's how you can imagine. But
What age were you at that stage?
I was 19, I'd say, Oisin, but I was quite happy. There was a game the following day, a soccer game that I would have been playing in, and I think I was only a sub, possibly above in Longford. Right. Yeah, I can remember that clearly. But little things like that,
Yeah. So, do you know, I think it's the most natural thing in the world when people are saying really nice things and complimentary things around you that you kind of get embarrassed. And in fairness, you gave us a warning you were going to change the subject, and you did it very well. You noticed that. But
yeah,
in a quiet moment, even though you're trying to balance that embarrassment, is there a wee bit upon a quiet moment where you can just be nearly a sense of pride?
There would be, I suppose, sometimes, when I can't explain to you when, but there would be sometimes that you'd, in the last number of years, I suppose, when you're well retired and you're going to games, and again, when you're with maybe, when you're with the grandkids and somebody comes over and says some nice things to you, you won't admit it at the time, and I still would feel uncomfortable, but you would then later on, you'd say, I was delighted they actually saw that.
Yeah.
That'd be.
Well, that is lovely to hear, and that's kind of what it is. You don't hear people say that.
Yeah.
Because it could come across quite, they're into yourself and that. But I think the way in which we eventually got there with you, I think that is lovely.
Yeah.
We've met wee Cara here today, and that relationship's different than the one from your children and your siblings, of course.
Yeah.
That whenever they get to hear it from somebody else, because they just know you as granddads, it's like, what I mean? Then that. Oh, right, he must be pretty good. I would imagine that's a lovely thing.
It is.
Come here, great. You talked about just your upbringing there a couple of times. You mentioned at the start was St Brendan's
Park,
and Council Estate.
Yeah.
And then you talked just very briefly afterwards again about the sort of upbringing. So, without making any judgment, Council Estate mightn't have been a whole lot of money flowing about at the time.
Oh, it was tough, yeah.
Big family.
Yeah, big, huge family. They got 7 of us, yeah.
Tough. We Jack O'Shea on the podcast recently, and I think a lot of people were expecting, Jack O'Shea, great footballer, did this, did that, and look, we did talk a lot of stuff around it, didn't we, Oisin? Yeah. Around that, but he'd father had an accident when he was very young, and the love he had, obviously for his father, but his mother, who was working 3 jobs to provide, and he still felt a real emotion around that, and probably that develops through time, where maybe he's rearing his own wings and he sees that, God, that he was tough enough here. So what was it like in that sense?
Yeah, it was tough, but you wouldn't realise it when you're growing up at the time.
Okay.
We never wanted for anything. And,
and
my father, he worked in a furniture shop in Tralee here. He lived outside Killoughlin, and when himself and my mother married, they lived in Ballymullen, which would be a totally different area to where I was born.
Okay.
It would be John Mitchell's area as such. So, but what he used to do was, there's a sharp mountain, they call it. I'd say it's about 17 or 18 miles. It's real tough cycle. He used to cycle in and out to work every day before they moved back into Tralee full time.
So how long was that?
Oh, there could be 2 or 3 years, yeah.
No, how long was did you say 17 miles there?
No, 17 miles each way, but there's up the Sharp Mountain, they call it. It's the road between Tralee, the back road between Tralee and Castlemaine and Killoughlin.
So he cycles it.
Oh, he did.
There and back.
But and then he had a bit of land in Killoughlin, and he used to keep a few cattle there, because I remember, I never wanted if I was looking for football boots. No, you wouldn't be looking for them regularly, you were, because there was discipline in the house, obviously, as well, very good discipline. But if you wanted jerseys, Oisin, and my poor mother, when I look at this fella, being a United fan like myself, my poor mother, she absolutely detested soccer for whatever reason, right? And my wall used to be plastered with black and white photographs of Manchester United, right? The wall was full of it. And by the way, I was the only one in the house that had a bedroom on his own, obviously for obvious reasons. But she used to come up to me and she'd say, and she always gave me my full title, like she used to give out to people calling me Mikey and Mickey or whatever. Michael, like, was all, and she said, Michael, can you not take those posters down? But she says, I don't like them. And I said, I will eventually, but you know.
Who's up on the wall?
Georgie Best, of course, was my hero. Bobby Charlton, all those fellas. Dennis Law, loved all those fellas, you know. So you know.
Had you aspirations to?
I
Dreams like everything.
Oh, you would. Like I mean, we used to be waiting in those days, like for the results. They'd come in the teleprinter. You'd have the radio on, and you'd have no idea like what the score was, and you'd know by the commentators. Manchester United won, Liverpool 2, you know, this kind of thing. You know by the tone, but they were great times to have an interest, and I don't know what pulled me to United, but I was mad and still am still a great fan.
Is that the big thing that has maybe changed? Just when you talk about your upbringing there, which seemed like brilliant, very happy, mightn't have been a whole lot of money floating about, but everybody was kind of on the same boat. Bar maybe the odd exception, you know, but everybody was there. Whereas nowadays it feels that disparity is wider than ever. That you know, there are haves and have-nots and that. Whereas it seemed to be everybody was kind of at a level. I'm not going to say the olden days, like, you know, but just a few years back, obviously. But now it just seems that you know, there's some kids that have like have everything, and there's a lot of kids.
I know, I agree with you 200%.
And like you nearly see in a sense that, like, we've a lot of friends back home, and like there's swimming clubs, and they're into the GAA obviously, and then they're into maybe playing a bit of soccer, and they're into gymnastics, and like the opportunities for young people now is unreal.
It is.
But I would imagine for parents, like there's a cost there, and a cost there, and a taxi and match.
It is, yeah. Like, the big difference I see with the kids, I see with the grandkids now, and they're into football, they're into swimming, they're into soccer, they're into everything, you know. And it's tough on families. Some people can afford it, obviously, and other people, you're dead right, there is that little bit of a difference.
You're looking at me thinking, I thought I was coming on here to talk about football. This boy's talking to me
Not
about...
at all. No. No, but you're so right. But like when we were growing up, you know, my father, like he was like I was useless around the house, and still am. My wife will tell everybody, because I was spoiled rotten being an only boy.
Yeah.
Right? But my father, like, he was great around the house. He was good with his hands, and everything that we probably ate, vegetables, he grew them out the back garden, like. And he'd grow the spuds and everything, and the cabbage and the carrots, everything.
Wow.
Would you believe it? Yeah.
Wow. What about your mum?
My mother was an incredible woman, because I remember Paddy, she used to slag me when I got married. And my wife mightn't like to hear this. Paddy reckoned, you see, in those days, you wore your own gear. And I always liked having good gear, having nice gear at training, you know, colour coordinated, as the boys used to call, you know, you'd have the blue jersey, and the white and the blue. And my mother, she used to my boots, I used to have 2 pairs of boots, right? And if in those days, like, the quality wouldn't be nearly as good, or maybe it would be better, but if they got wet and they got hard, she used to have this dub, and then to like polish the rub and to soften them out for me. And the boots would be like span-new by her before me going training. But Paddy reckoned when I got married that I went downhill in the gear.
The same level of care, wasn't it?
No, same level of care. That was my poor mother, yeah.
There you go. Do you know what? That's just a great example, because not all is what it seems. We thought when we were starting off there that, you know, big family, you know, not a lot of money floating about, but it sounds like you had an outrageously spoiled existence.
Absolutely. But,
completely.
Yeah, but my mother was an incredible lady, like, she was a very quiet person, very, very grounded. The only time that I'd ever row with my mother would be coming up to All Ireland's, and she'd ask me for a few tickets, right? And she could be asking me for tickets then, and I'd say, Ma, who are the tickets for? And to be somebody that wouldn't even know a football if it hit him, you know, she was such a nice lady.
Yes.
You know, she was trying to be
Very hard to say no.
She couldn't say no.
Yeah.
And I used to eventually have to say no to her, you know. But
What was your schooling? Where did you go to school?
I went to Tralee Base primary and secondary, yeah.
That the Green?
The Green, yeah. Mark, where they were beaten there a few weeks ago in a great game by Mullingar.
What were you like in school?
I was academically, no, I didn't do a whole lot, I'll be truthful with you. You know, I was again, it was football. And we were beaten in 2 Munster finals, actually, by the Sem here, the crowd in Killarney, and
Yeah.
you had Paddy, Shane, Owen, Spillane, all of them were playing against us. And they had a few guys from Cork as well, up around Mill Street area. They had a good, strong team. But the first year, they were a little bit better than us, but we should have beaten them the second year. Right. But then, in those days, it was under 19 and a half. And the Munster Championship was under 18. And the boys got to the All-Ireland final, like, was it 1970 or 71? They beat us in the Munster final, but they played Cavan, Ollie Brady, St. Pat's, Ollie Brady and all this. They absolutely got whitewashed. The boys were physically miles too strong for them, So, but I remember, and I was kind of saying, I played 2 years Kerry minor, 2 years Munster colleges. They were my first 4 Munster finals, beaten in the 4 of them. And I was saying, geez, this'll never work, and it did eventually, because the second year I played minor, geez, we had a very good team, and we were 5 points up with less than 10 minutes to go in Killarney here in a full house on a real hot day. And next thing, Cork got 2 late goals and beat us by a point. And one of the main instrumental players for Cork that day was Jimmy Barry Murphy.
Yeah.
I think he scored 1 and set up the second one, and they won the All-Ireland. And because at that stage you're going to have a huge ambition, like to play in Croke Park, like that's the holy grail,
Yeah.
And so it wasn't going to happen. I partly guessed it wasn't going to happen at colleges, but you'd be hoping at minor level then that you were going to make the breakthrough,
Especially with all the talent from St. Brendan's and obviously from yourselves.
Yeah, there was. I thought it was a good minor team, but unfortunately, sometimes, when you lose like that, it drives you maybe a little bit tough.
And so you weren't academically great at school. So what did you do then when you?
I was kind of lucky. See, in those days there was no third level really. All it was the big, UCC, UCD, and you want to be fairly bright to get there. That wasn't going to happen in my case anyway. So then I started a rep's job. I started working with a finance company, and then I was lucky enough really, and it was football really got it for me. Lombard and Ulster. I used to self-finance, car finance and that, and machinery finance and all that stuff. And I quite enjoyed it. And then in 79, the Irish Permanent, who were called the Irish Permanent Building Society at the time, used to do investments and mortgages. Mm-hmm. They recruited me. They approached me, so I went with them then and managed in Tralee for a number of years.
Right.
That was it, yeah.
How many All-Irelands have you won, Mikey?
I've won 8, yeah.
8,
yeah.
How many Munster titles have you won?
I don't know. I think it's. Is it 10 maybe? I'm not. I swear to God, I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
No.
So I was going to ask you next. Sort of no point in asking the question. I was just going to ask: are those medals anywhere specific? Are they up somewhere? Are they in a particular place? Are they together? Are they all around the place? Have you maybe?
No. The All Ireland medals. I have the 8, and I have 221s. They're inside in one box. Oh, with an All Ireland club medal as well.
Yeah.
They're inside in a little box.
Okay.
And they're inside in a drawer.
In a drawer.
And I'll tell you a good story about this. 2 years ago, myself and my wife Grania, we were going on holidays, and for whatever reason, she knows where the medals are, right? She decided anyway, in her wisdom, that she'd hide the medals, just in case. Like this is only 2 years ago, right? So she hid them anyway, right? And we went away for 10 days out to Portugal, out to my sister. We came back. She's never said it to me for about 2 months after. She couldn't remember where she hid the medals. And it took her 2 months to find them. No, she was, because I knew there was something, and she wouldn't tell me. It didn't bother to me. I said, look, if they're gone, they're gone. No, obviously you'd be gutted. She couldn't find them. She eventually found them. She put them down under some basket she had with a load of socks, and couldn't for the life of her remember where the medals were.
Isn't it interesting though? All the same, I'm sure there's a few. I'm sure there's a few bits and pieces that are of value in your house, like anybody's house. But she went straight for the medals.
She went for the medals.
No.
Well, I don't know. Did she think that I'd be cranky if the medals were whipped? I don't know. But look, if they were, no, they're just inside in a box.
Okay. That's grand. That's grand.
Funny, Croke Park approached me to see they were setting up the
museum.
And they asked could I would I be able to send all my medals? So I said, listen, I wouldn't have a clue where my medals are or anything like that. So I went to my mum, who was married now at this stage, and I went to my mum and I said, listen, Croke Park's looking for these medals with any chance. And she takes this box out and she opens it, and they're all labelled as in the year. I took them up to Croke Park and handed them, and they said, this has never ever happened before. Normally people just throw medals at us and we're supposed to figure it out ourselves, but every single one of them was labelled. We note on each of them what they were, and so nice, when they were putting it together, they said it was the easiest list of medals they ever had put together. But other than that, I would never have looked. You'd never look for them, like you'd like to think they're there somewhere. Yeah, that's it. But you'd never have looked for them.
But I'd imagine it's a great thing for the grandkids coming along in a weird wee moment. They might, and you're like, actually, do you know what? I'll bring them out there. There they are there, and this one here I did this, and this one here I did that, and that one there that was 1982. Well, that was meant to be there.
That was meant to.
That didn't quite work out according to plan. It feels like the classic GAA interview where, you've won $8 Ireland men's, but let's go to the one that didn't work out according to plan. Do you get annoyed by that, Mikey? Just because that probably does come up.
Well, I'd get annoyed because, would you believe it, I used to worry about it for years.
Did you?
Because I missed it, I cost it, because I missed the penalty with about 8 minutes to go to kill the game off. And, it played. And when I retired, I did a few interviews with different people, and they'd say, they'd invariably ask the question, what do you remember most about your career? And that was it, the 82 All-Ireland final. Yeah, that for no reason, just because of no other reason, because of the missed penalty, and just hoping that we'd do history. But then, when you mellow a bit, then after a while, and you just relax, and you could say, the Offaly lads, what a county, to beat us. Like, what for a small county, between their hurling and their football. And you see the team that beat us, the families. You had the Derbys, the Lowrys, the Connors, the Fitzgeralds. Incredible footballers, Yeah. So you would, you could be beaten by worse now than the Offaly lads.
You could. It's such a big thing. Like, and we joke about it with him now, to be fair, but like, it's a huge thing, missing the penalty. Like, even if it's an under 12 match, right?
Yeah, it
like,
is.
It's you being one, and that battle is very rare in Gaelic football, where it's one we've won completely in that sense.
But you see, I don't know what Oceans, what their plan was. Like, we never had a penalty kicker as such, but being the free taker, the ball was thrown to you, and I can remember that day. No, I wasn't playing well. Mick Fitzgerald was marking me, and he was a really tight cornerback, but a complete footballer. Sometimes you'd be hoping maybe if a fella hit you a clip, he'd poke the bear, but I wasn't. I got on a bit of ball, but not enough, and I should have moved out. I was thinking back in the game, and still can think back in it, that I should have been looking for more ball, and I wasn't. I was kind of hiding a bit in the corner when things weren't going right, and I knew it. When the penalty happened, I didn't want to take it, right? And next thing, the ball was thrown at me, and I said, don't shirk your responsibility now. But I put the ball down, and as I was putting it down, I didn't have any confidence in my own ability. That's where it failed me big time. Whereas in the 79 All-Ireland final, I was playing well. I got a goal in the first half. I couldn't wait to get the ball and put it down. I actually knew where I was going to put it, and I put it exactly where I wanted to put it. But it's amazing, But as I said to you, Oisin, I don't know if you were the designated penalty taker because you were the free kicker. I don't know.
More or less, and plus I wanted to take them.
Yeah.
I wanted to take them, but a bit like that, I don't think they were banging in the door to take it. Yeah, Stevie maybe might have stepped up, but I don't think anybody else wanted it. That sort of way.
Yeah. That's the thing. It is. There's a bit of responsibility. Okay, now, and I'm glad if we could turn back the clock when you're in 11 yards now vis-a-vis 14, it's a little bit easier.
Yeah.
But I do get what you're saying about if things are going well for you and you get a penalty, you're like, you wrestle somebody to the ground just to get the ball. But when things aren't going great, that's when it's the real test.
Yeah, test.
Like, if you're in a flow state and you get a penalty, you know what you're doing. But if you're depending on a penalty to maybe right-hand turn your form in the game.
Yeah.
Like the goal's bound to become a little bit smaller.
A bit smaller, it is. Yeah, it is.
It increased the pressure on what is already and increased.
Yeah,
but then
14 yards was ridiculous for a penalty.
Well, it is when the goals are smaller as well. But then again, if you're playing well, Oisin, it isn't.
Yeah, no,
it's
true.
It's a good bit wider. But even near the end of the game that day, when things were going wrong, I mean, they got the goal. Seamus Darby with a brilliant goal, great shot, and we had 2 or 3 chances to equalise. Like I got one ball, gave it away. Tom Spillane, I think, gave one. If he flicked it across to the bomber, there was a chance of a goal. You know, so those little things, you know.
Yeah.
And but look, you know, Offaly, in fairness to them, as I said, great county and a county that I admire massively.
Yeah, it was. It's just one of those moments. We were talking about this quite recently, actually. That just for me, like it was before I was born.
Yes.
But when you think of those older videos or clips that are played, that 82 team is always played. But I think that was more on Kerry because they were chasing destiny and that kind of piece. But that Seamus Darby goal was like it's been played to death. Like.
Incredible. Now, Seamus Darby often told me a story. I don't know if it was true or not. Like Seamus was disappointed that he wasn't starting in the final because he'd come on in the semi-final. I think was it Down they beat in the semi-final. I think it was.
Oh, I'm not
that
sure.
year. And but he was very disappointed. But the night before, you see, the Offaly fellas stayed in their own beds. They came up on the Sunday morning. But when Eugene McGee was putting him on late in the game, it started to get a bit damp. I remember it started to rain a little bit. And again, rain that wasn't an excuse. But I think Seamus's instructions from Eugene McGee were to tell Matt Connor and Johnny Mooney, who was a brilliant player as well, 2 brilliant footballers, right? Two real tartars, right? To stand in front of the small square as like 2 twin strikers, right? And when you tell them, give them that instruction, stay out of their way. That was it. Like next thing, you ended up getting the goal.
What a goal! What a moment!
Oh, it was brilliant.
It was a moment.
It was and Seamus, and he's an absolute gent, and you know, sure, he did a brilliant goal. Yeah.
Who's the best that you played with or against?
Well, the guy that I played, the best player that I played with. No, David Clifford is going to break all records, obviously. But the best player that I would have played with, and I would never have any doubts about saying, was Jack O'Shea. I don't think. I think he was an incredible footballer. You know, he got 4 Players of the Year, and he carried us during winter months, like when wouldn't be in good condition. And then championship, like he was a fabulous athlete, and he was well conditioned. I'd say through his job more than anything else. You know, he was a plumber, but Jack was an amazing athlete, I thought, and he was.
They kept dogs as well. He was telling us that they kept beagles and they had to be walked all the time when they weren't being used for hunting. That he was just reared on fitness in a way.
Yeah. Oh, he was a powerful, brilliant footballer. He'd have been the best as regards. Guys that I would have played against, Ginny Mac, I always found them very, you know, all defenders at that level. I'm sure Oisin will say the same. They're all good players.
Yeah.
There's, you know, if I was to pick out one, and I only marked him twice, was Kevin Moran, and he only had a short career in Gaelic football, you know.
Whatever happened to him?
Well, no, whatever happened to him, he took the money, Kevin. He was a brilliant footballer. Like if he had stayed, you know.
Did you ever meet him when I know you'd be over?
I did. I met him a few times over, and I'd know Kevin well. But we had a lovely get together with them. It was our 50 years, the 75 team last year. We met them in below in Kenmare. We had 2 lovely nights in Sheen Falls with them. Played golf and drank a few pints and reminisced.
Yeah.
And poor what's his name was there, and he died a few months later. It was Sean Doherty, and he was in great form, you know. But they're coming down now, a bunch of them, on the end of June. They're an amazing bunch, like, because they're a little bit older than us. Their age profile, a lot of them.
Yeah.
No, Kevin wouldn't be, but some of the older Tony Hannahos and Geo Driscoll and all those lads. But they're coming down to play golf because it's their 50th year when they won in 76.
Ah, yeah.
And so they're coming down. I think there's about 18 of them coming down.
Brilliant.
And they're an amazing bunch, like, yeah.
Isn't that a lovely thing to look
It's a nice
forward
relationship.
There's a great relationship, yeah, there is, yeah. And it was amazing. Ned O'Sullivan and Sean Doherty were great mates, and the doc, do you remember?
Yes.
Mickey was
KO'd.
The KO'd between Alan Larkin and Sean Doherty. And they're great. They were great friends now, the two of them, absolutely. It's amazing. And they kind of organised the whole thing. And like for 2 days, it was fantastic. And we had weather that you wouldn't get out in the Algarve in the middle of April. We were playing golf in shorts and T-shirts and then drank a few pints and everything was... they're great lads. But there would be fierce respect, and, mutual respect there, like.
You want to go? I don't play golf, but I nearly want to go to that myself. Doesn't it? Just the way you.
It's unbelievable. You go to war. You go to war as such against somebody, and then all of a sudden, like you do mellow as you.
Oh, you do. It was the same with the Cork lads now, who would be always our biggest rivals. They can say it, they carry it up. But Cork are always Kerry's biggest sporting rivals in football, anyway. No doubt. But we'd be great friends with those lads down through the years. Dinny Allen, Coleman Corrigan, Billy Morgan, Jimmy Corrigan, Barry Coffey, all those lads. We meet up regularly, like, golfing, and they're great guys, like.
Dinny Allen's good out crack.
Oh, Dinny's very funny. He's very... I'd be great mates with Dinny now for years. But I wouldn't have met him now for a while. I've been on the phone to him because we struck up a great relationship because he was the Heineken rep.
Right.
He was covering Kerry. We often closed a few bars, I'll tell you.
Right.
Oh, he's a character, Dinny. Yeah. Jeez, he was a great footballer and great hurler as well.
That clip of him.
With Paddy, was it?
Like, I mean, it's unreal, lad. I mean, some of our younger listeners are going like, "What are they talking about?" They're maybe going to go, "Who's Denny Allen? Why are they talking about these?" Google Denny Allen, Paddy O'Shea. The two of them had a box with each other. Referee saw it and then goes, "Right, that'll do now, lad. Shake hands." Away you go. It's playground stuff.
It was playground stuff. It's unreal.
I never got a box like that.
No, I didn't either. No, I don't think. Oh, jeez, it was a knockout blow, like.
Yeah.
Paddy,
yeah, it was. God, like it's just reflecting on that Munster final at the weekend, but looking ahead to this Kerry Donegal. You mentioned it at the very beginning, where you weren't expecting a big crowd because of that draw, essentially. That didn't seem to go down well with people in Kerry. It felt that the rug was pulled ahead of the Munster final.
A little bit, yeah. It but it just shows you the bragging rights are still very, very important. Like, I mean, because even back at the launch of it last Wednesday night, I actually said it to the chairman of the Munster Council, Tim Murphy, and Patrick O'Sullivan, the Kerry chairman, was there, and I was just saying, like, what's the advantage in winning? Is it just the bragging rights? And they were saying, yeah, there's no carrot if you win. You still have to play Donegal in 2 weeks' time. But there'll be a huge crowd at that as well, no?
Yeah.
Particularly. But you see, Kerry support, in our time now, the Kerry support was okay. But now all the youngsters are going to games because of the big names, the David Cliffords, the Con O'Callaghan's, this world, all these guys. The younger, it's gone trendy now to be following teams, and I think it's great with the colour as well. They're all buying jerseys, and when back in our day they wore the old hat that if it got wet, the dye ran into your eyes. It's totally different.
Do you think with that game on the horizon, the Donegal game, that the league final will have big bearing on what happened in that game, or?
I don't think so. Do you know that? No, Oisin. Maybe that's totally. I don't think. I think Kerry were very disappointed at the way they played that day, and it probably was a rude awakening for them, to a degree. But I don't think it will. I think it'll be a different, totally different game here in Killarney on Saturday week. And like a lot will depend. You see, if you lose that game, you're out again the following weekend. Whereas if you win, the Carrots, you have a 2-week break. Now, Kerry have injuries, but Donegal seemingly have injuries as well with Michael Langan. Now, and if he's missing for them, I think he's a massive player for them, I'll be honest and truthful with you. And I don't know if you're Jack O'Connor and if you have Sean Shea, maybe right, or you have Joe O'Connor, maybe right. Do you play them, or do you hold them until the
well, that's the conundrum, I think, because let's just say worst case scenario, and you lose that for whoever, for Donegal or Kerry.
Yeah.
The next team you play against, because there are some there are some plum draws. Like let's say like a just for example a Derry or an Armagh. Like
right,
and let's say you're away to them. All of a sudden,
Oh, it is.
you know, your window of opportunity in the championship can be very short.
Oh, can be very short. It can. I agree with you.
In one way, it looks that there's not an enormous amount of jeopardy on the game because you've another chance.
You have a second chance.
But at the same time, that chance could be within a week.
It could.
As you say, it's away up the country, and this.
You're running out of chances as well. You have.
Well, at that stage, you're definitely running out of chances. It's the last chance.
Stage, yeah. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
But I think like Donegal. Like people go back to the All Ireland final last year, where Kerry played exceptional.
Yeah.
But they did have to play exceptional, right? And we'll say when Paddy McBrearty came on, with 15, 20 minutes to go, whatever he came on, right? And they had it down to 5 points. And if you remember, Paddy McBrearty missed a great chance of a 2-pointer.
That's right.
They just went wide. And people don't realise, like, it was gone tight at that stage. Had that 2-pointer gone over, they had momentum.
Yeah.
You know, and no, but Kerry were by far the better team, I would have to say, on the day. But that's how good Donegal are. You know, they're a serious outfit.
Would you put down a lot, Mikey, of your success down to Mick? And like, what was so special about?
You know, he was like, what he'd said the right things to you, Oisín. Like, I mean, there was, as I said, I'd be prone to put on weight during the winter because the National League was in a different time. Back when we played it, and we always wintered well, a lot of our fellas, and Mick actually was quite happy for you to put on a few pounds, but if he saw you were actually after exceeding what he wanted you to be putting on, he'd tell you, he'd call you, he'd say to me, Jeannie Mac, get out to Banna. He'd never do it in front of
Wouldn't embarrass you.
No, and he'd say, look, get out to Banna. You know, that's where we'd go running. I'd go running anyway to keep fit during the winter, to build up a bit of stamina stuff. He'd say, get out for a few runs. And then when you're getting there, and you mightn't even be 3/4 there, you might be 50% right, he'd give you a bit of encouragement then, you know, and he just said the right things. I remember one year I was injured for National League final, didn't play, I was togged out okay, but I'd ankle ligament trouble. We were playing Cork. Kerry beat Cork, and I'd say it was around 1980, I'd say, or 79, I can't remember the exact years, 80 possibly. And there was a bit of speculation that he'd go with the same team that started the league final. I'd say I was the only one missing, or maybe one other. And I remember the Thursday night we were training, I was a bit concerned myself, no, but I had got myself in good shape, was going well in training. And I remember he waited until I was going away. He had showered himself and he was over in the corner and he wouldn't tell. Next thing he called me outside the door. Nobody saw us. He just followed me out and he says, come here now. He says, there's a bit of talk. The team was being picked that night. He said, there's a bit of talk going around that you won't be starting next Sunday. He says, take it that you're in your usual slot. Jesus, I'd have ran from Killarney to Tralee after it. You know, little things like that, little nuggets like that.
Yeah.
You know? And no, he was just an incredible man, like, you know, yeah.
And just even you said at the very beginning, Mikey, you really don't hear it from high performance successful athletes that you said I was lazy. I mean, it's nearly it's a soft insult to yourself, but you've said it about yourself, so you're well capable of doing that, because I suppose the lazy thing really is about attitude. You know, if I'm not good in my right leg, or I'm not good in the air, or if these sort of areas and skill set that's not great, but the lazy thing kind of feels like a mindset which you're ultimately in control of. That could be, you know, it's not a great trait obviously to have, but I think the lovely fact is that you've recognised and you've owned that. But how have you wrestled with that and worked on that? Because you did talk about Mick was driving you, which helped. But did you ever have to tackle that, Mikey, in your own mind?
I was certain I would, and I'd have been very conscious of doing certain things before games, and you know, 'tis the one thing that I would have changed now if somebody said to me, what would you change from your playing career? I'd have looked after myself better during the winter. You know, no, I wasn't a crazy drinker. I'd drink a couple of pints, but I'd eat the wrong stuff. I reckon I wouldn't be disciplined in that way, and I certainly would have done that. Now, you're a greyhound breed, Oisín, you're fine, but fellas like me, I'd be broad and big and be prone. And like my poor mother, God rest her soul, she used to spoil me as well, like, you know, and you know, you'd be said because she was, you know.
I think there's a recurring theme here with all these corner forwards. A
I'm
lot of them
telling you,
are
they was
spoiled.
spoiled, rotten,
And a wee bit lazy maybe as well.
but like
Couple of queer mummy boys in front of us here,
mummy's boys. But like going back to Mikko, like I just think that he, you know, he had that aura about him, and the fact that he was one of my heroes when I was a kid, himself and Mick O'Connell, the two Kerry heroes, and I just, you know, hearing it from him, it just made me do it. And like I'd be still very conscious of my health nowadays.
Yeah.
Since some fellas in me should say, "Geez, you're in great shape," or "I'm fine," you know. But I would still be very disciplined now for the last number of years that I'd keep myself in shape, you know, health wise. You know, when you're getting older anyway, you have to. And I'd be very conscious of going for my walks and doing this because I have, and it's a thing. Would you believe it? Because I have my 2 hips done and the 2 knees done, right? And it's a thing that I would have loved. No, that. And some fella said, "Geez, that must have been from hard training." It certainly wasn't. Maybe it was doing the wrong type of training.
Yeah.
You know, but. I remember when I got my first hip done, and I was playing a lot of golf at the time. It was around 2006, and my wife said to me, "Jeannie, Mac, how will you manage without golf?" And I said, No. I had no issue with it. I actually didn't miss it for the 6 weeks. But the one thing that I've always missed, and this now sounds completely contradictory to a lazy fella, was I missed, and I still miss, going to Banna and going away back where nobody would see you and going for a jog of up 2 or 3 miles even just to do it. I still miss that, would you believe it? Because I can't do it with my legs, you know.
Yeah.
But I can walk away, no bother, you know. But that's, so that's contradictory from the lazy fella.
Well, 2 hips and 2 knees.
2 nips.
2 nips.
We're obviously taking that out.
No, I keep that out.
But yeah, the hips and the knees.
Yeah. I did.
Did you wear a bandage at one stage?
I did, because I had trouble with the left knee. Yeah, I did for years, and I had all the cartilages out of it, and it was bone on bone for
What
years.
stage did you get that done?
I had my first knee done in 2014.
Yeah.
I kept it going as long as I could, because we had a banquet there before Christmas. I don't know how many years they had it in Killarney here. It was a fundraiser, and I was talking to the great Pat Spillano. He's crippled with his knee, but he won't. He's so flipping. And I said, "You're mad, like, you know. I mean, he's 70 years of age now, and you know why go through pain? Because I was slow enough doing it, but I had the first one done in 2014. It's sore, much sorer than a hip surgery, but it was the best thing I ever had done. I had the other one done 3 years ago. Then it was fine,
Yeah.
grand. Yeah.
Just when you mention that, they ran into Dahi O'Shea last night. You know the guy, the Rose.
Oh, Dahi,
yeah.
Dahi.
Ran into him last night, yeah.
Today Show, yeah.
Yeah.
No, Dahi's gas.
Just when you mention that, because he was at that banquet thing.
He was.
Correct.
He was the MC, yeah.
He was the MC.
He was.
Ran into him last night.
He's a mad Kerry man. Yeah.
He is.
He's stuck, mate. He's a great mate of Dara's. Sure, they were at school together.
Oh, were they?
They were, yeah.
Didn't know that.
They were the
O'Shea
two.
and Dahi O'Shea.
Dara O'Shea and Dahi O'Shea,
Yeah.
2 D O'Sheas, yeah.
A good old gig with 2 of them boys doing it together, wouldn't
That'd
they?
be lively now.
You would. I'm telling you, you would.
Very
Absolutely.
good. We'll wrap it up there. But before we do, the best moment for you that stands out. That could be anywhere. It could be anything. Might not even be in a football stadium. Yeah. Just for you, that wee thing that's just brings you most satisfaction.
I would say the 1986 All Ireland final against Tyrone, my last one, because I had a fair idea. Even though I was only 32
That's the
years
picture
of
that's
age.
up in the toilets, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Oh, is that?
That's
Go
the
away!
86
I
one,
don't believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
I can't believe that was your last, and you still look fresh.
It was. It was 86. My last final. I was only 32. I retired when I was 34. Like, it was only because of my knee, and but that would have been, I don't know what it was. It was something in the back of my head, and my father, who would have been. He'd never show his emotions, or very quiet man. He'd never said to me, "God, you were great today," or "You were cat," you know, today. He wouldn't. He just always say, "Well done," or "Hard luck." He'd never. But that particular day, again, which Tyrone should have beaten us, because the only thing that Tyrone lacked that day was they didn't know how to win. They were 8 or 9 points up against us, like, They really and truly, because I can remember their backs, and there was none of them. There was no fella saying, "We have these fellas dead," and we came back from the dead and won the game. But you know, in those days, all the supporters would come out onto the field, and there were mostly Kerry and Tyrone, a few Tyrone people, in fairness to them as well. And this person just caught me and just gave me a hug and was gone. And I turned around to my father, and he never admitted it after. Would you believe that? That's the way. He was a quiet man.
Yeah.
He'd be gone, go away and have his couple of pints with the family then, and that was it. Like, but that was a very, very special moment for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't it? I mean, it's when you think of the human mindset of all that you've achieved and all, maybe even winning that first All-Ireland or breaking through, and even the school things, which we kind of brushed upon, but like those Munster championships for your school at that time, it's the biggest thing in your life. Like it's a McCrory Cup or a Hogan Cup or you know, a Harty Cup down here in hurling. Yeah. So, but your shine breakthrough moment was the last All-Ireland final, but you quickly just brought yourself to that moment with your daddy. It's out of kilter. It's not normal.
No.
Even it was that abnormal that he denied
I think,
what happened afterwards. Yeah. But isn't it amazing? Just those wee things still rank higher than anything.
He must have known it was my last one as well, I tell you.
And that's the other thing in the Irish psyche, when things get a bit emotional, turn to humour to change the subject.
Absolutely, yeah.
Mikey, we will wrap it up there, fella. Thank you very much for having us, man. And
thanks, Mikey.
It was lovely to get chatting with you.
Pleasure.
There's a lot of people say great things about you in the football sense, but more importantly, they say great things about you away from football as well, and you're well liked. And one of them being Matty McGleenan. Do you know of Matty?
I do well.
Yeah.
Big strong man. Yeah.
Big strong man. Yeah.
Corner forward.
He was the guy that started blowing the kisses after the match.
I thought it was Joe Brawley.
Well, Joe Brawley did it against Tyrone, and then he hit one of those ones that right into the roof of the net, and he started mocking Brawley. he started mocking it. He had the collar up,
brilliant player,
looked like a middleweight boxer back in the day. But he had, I was chatting to him recently, and he said glowing words in terms of his father and him and his family, and was just Mikey Sheehy. Couldn't believe that we were going down to chat to Mikey Sheehy. So I ran to the shop and bought a ball, and you're going to sign something for him and his kids. So we hope to get that ball to him before the podcast goes out in a couple of days, but we will. So he sends his best wishes. Look after yourself, fella. Life seems to be treating you good. He's
fresh.
Good.
He's fresh, isn't he, Oshie? He's looking well. Like he's a well-looking man.
Just thinking there, Jim will have this one on repeat.
Tell Jim I said hello.
I will do.
Yeah.
Many more podcasts on BBC Sounds and much more GAA content as ever right across the BBC. It is going to be a busy couple of weeks. We have the Ulster and
Leinster.
I was at the Munster final. It's been a hazy couple of days now. Let's be honest, it's been a hazy couple of days. But we have the Ulster final this weekend.
Yes.
It is live on the BBC. Live coverage of Armagh against Monaghan, and we will have our live podcast immediately afterwards on BBC iPlayer, and as ever we'll be putting that on YouTube and BBC Sounds afterwards. So it's a big week. Who's going to win the Ulster and Leinster, Mikey, before we wrap it?
Oh, jeez, I don't know. I think Dublin will win Leinster.
Okay. Do
you know that now? I think Ulster, Jenny Mac. It's Armagh, I suppose, will take beating. I think, I'll be truthful with you. I think they're the number 3 team is what I see at the moment. I see Kerry, Donegal, Armagh.
Okay.
I think Armagh have had injury problems. They were unbelievably impressive in the last game. They obliterated Down, and I know we're talking about going off the track a little bit. Down had a game the previous week, and it did. But Jeannie Mac, I think the pace that Armagh played with, and even I'll take you back to last year's quarter-final against Kerry, they had us on the rack, big time. Yeah. Big time. They went 5 clear and should have gone 8 clear. They missed 3 easy chances. They needed a fella like this fella to kick the ball over there. Easy chances. And it could have been totally. Next thing, the whole thing changed with a couple of 2-pointers from Kerry and the momentum switch. So I think Armagh, and I think they'll have a big say in the business end of the championship as well.
Yeah. Okay. The great Mikey Sheehy, great Oshie McConville, and from myself, thanks for listening.